Ferrari switched their development focus to 2026, but a fresh twist gave us something to be very excited about. Lewis Hamilton will definitely be happy to hear what the plans for the Maranello-based squad are, especially after the horrendous 2025 campaign so far. How much of an input will Hamilton have regarding the 2026 car? And more importantly, is the team ready to adapt the car more towards his driving style after all the feedback provided so far? Ferrari's development, in 2025, became one of the most questionable decisions that the team has ever made, and we know they've made quite a lot of those. In 2024, their car seemed to be on track to catch up with McLaren, but it ended up as one of the most free-falling cars in terms of development curve. That's why they focused on 2026, but with something that could make Hamilton and his fans a lot happier. The team is ready to put a lot of his input into the car and make it more pleasurable to drive. It's not really a surprise if you think about it. He comes from a team in which he won 6 drivers' championships, and at the age of 40 adapting might be harder than anticipating. However, prior to Hamilton, Loïc Sira joined the team, and he is responsible for the chassis development in Ferrari. So, if there's one human being on the team that would believe that Hamilton has the answers to what's wrong with the car, it's definitely Sira. Let's not forget that even though Ferrari implemented a new rear suspension in 2025, neither Leclerc nor Hamilton was happy with it, as reports suggested that Ferrari wasn't very proactive when it came to implementing Hamilton's feedback in developing the car. It's either that or Hamilton is having a very hard time adapting to the car's characteristics, or a combination of both. Either way, 2026 should be a season in which he's going to feel a lot more comfortable. And according to the 7-time world champion, some of his DNA will definitely be part of that car as well. Elaborating further on this, Hamilton said, "This year with this car, we have lots of different tools and ways in which we can set up the car. Charles has been there for a long time, and he's been part of evolving and developing this car, and he's very accustomed to it. He's found one way in which the car works. I've tried all the other directions that should work, but they just don't for whatever reason, and I've slowly migrated to the place where Charles runs the car, and the pace was the closest it's been. It's a tough balance to drive, and it's not a comfortable one. So I'm working with Sira and all the guys at the factory to make sure that the next car will have some of my DNA, and hopefully, we'll be able to get some of the characteristics that I'm hoping to have in it next year." When you think about it, there's one crucial difference between Hamilton and Leclerc when it comes to the car's development. Hamilton drove for another championship-winning team. As a matter of fact, he won 2 championships with 2 different teams, whereas Leclerc spent 1 year in Alfa Romeo before being promoted to Ferrari. I'm not saying that this is a negative characteristic per se, but if we're talking about experience-wise, I think Hamilton should judge a little bit better as to what's wrong with the car compared to Leclerc, because he's the one who can compare it with other challengers. Again, he won 6 championships with Mercedes and 1 with McLaren. And although the times and the technical characteristics of the cars have changed a lot since then, Hamilton has gone through thick and thin. He understands the car's behavior better than anyone. And perhaps that's why Loïc Sira persuaded him to sign a contract with Ferrari 1 year after he did. This is a belief that has been shared by Simon Lazenby as well, the Sky F1 pundit, who believes that the senior performance engineer, Jacques Clear, is highly likely urging Ferrari to take the feedback of Hamilton seriously if they want a serious performance turnaround. That's highly unlikely to happen in 2025 because of the resources now being shifted toward 2026. But again, there's a strong belief that Hamilton's words have fallen on deaf ears under the excuse that he is still in the acclimatization phase, and he doesn't know a lot about the car. That might be true, but if they rely solely on Leclerc, the team could enter an endless loophole in which they'll apply the same solutions and expect different outcomes. Elaborating further on this, Lazenby said, "Lewis, who since 2008 has won 7 world championships, while Ferrari in the meantime has brought home 0, means accepting and therefore marrying his vision of work in the car. So, there's a growing body of people saying, listen to Lewis. I spoke to Jacques Clear, who has worked with Lewis with both teams. He's worked with him at Mercedes and he's worked with him at Ferrari on the performance side and getting the best out of things. If there's anyone definitely shouting from the rooftop saying, listen to what Lewis has to say, it's definitely Jacques, because apparently Hamilton's feedback is second to none. There's a reason he's won 7 world championships. His feedback is amazing. That's a very logical statement to make, and I don't blame Ferrari for turning their focus a little bit more toward Hamilton. Of course, this doesn't mean compromising Leclerc's performance and preferences. Quite the contrary, it's more about finding a common ground and building a car that would be pushed to the absolute extreme and have a wider operating window. If that's the case, then it's up to the driver to extract everything from it, similar to what Max has been doing with Red Bull in the past couple of years. Yes, they don't want the type of limitations that the Austrian team has, and it's definitely something that would further hinder the development of the Maranello-based squad. Be that as it may, it's up to Hamilton to now give everything that he can in order to push the team in the right direction. With his arrival in Ferrari, it is well known that there are tons of engineers who would follow suit, and he can translate some of that famous Mercedes performance knowledge to Ferrari. It would be highly appreciated by the engineers. This is a question that we need to ask the engineers, and maybe even Fred Vasseur. Why aren't the drivers listened to enough when it comes to developing the car? Imagine that same situation in Red Bull, Verstappen asking for one thing but the team giving him completely another. It just wouldn't end nicely, would it? But as time goes on, we have to understand one thing. Ferrari is in a very bad position if they don't start focusing on their drivers' feedback. This is a critique that goes directly to Vasseur. You're the team principal, and you are responsible for every downfall that's happening in your team. I think that everyone is sick and tired of listening to how much potential the car has, but the team is unable to extract it. I think everyone is sick and tired of listening to how upgrades won't work, and it's this precise concept that will bring results if only they had the last missing piece of the puzzle. Work needs to be done, and it's highly likely to be an overtime one because of the issues that they have met with the SF25. So if the team learns something from the current campaign, it's the fact that they need to understand the basics of their car before they go further with any improvements. And in order to do that, they might want to open up their ears when Hamilton and Leclerc are talking. This time, I think the narrative will be shifted more towards Hamilton because Leclerc had been there for a long period of time, and not to take anything away from his performance and credibility as a driver, we haven't seen anything major in terms of car development. Hamilton is yet to leave his output and be judged for it. And according to Damon Hill, the 1996 world champion, the experience that Hamilton has will be crucial for Ferrari to be ahead of Mercedes and McLaren in the development war. Elaborating further on this, Hill said, "I do think that Ferrari has got a chance of doing something with Lewis when I don't think they would have had a chance of developing with Charles, because Charles has never been anywhere else. That's the problem. Going from one team to another, it takes a few years." Hamilton's spirits couldn't be more downbeat as of now. In Hungary, he admitted that he's useless and that the team needs to replace him. I get that he was disappointed for being out of Q2, and Leclerc put the car on pole, but these are not the words that are said in an effective situation. They could very well have a hidden meaning. If the team believes that he cannot provide any valuable feedback to the car, then they shouldn't have gone for the signature of the century. Be that as it may, Ferrari's now mounted with the biggest challenge in front of them, out-developing Mercedes, and proving that they can be up there with Hamilton. If they can do that, the hearts of every F1 fan would be full because we're finally going to see the prancing horse in front, which I think we've been missing for quite some time now. All of this in mind, what do you think about the development path that Ferrari has taken that is highly likely to favor Hamilton a bit more than usual? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.